Let's say you want to sell a product like this. So this is a spice rack selling on Amazon.co.uk, currently selling for £17.99, and it's making £6,723 a month according to AMZ Scout. So you have identified that this niche is pretty good, the spice rack niche, and it is pretty good, right? Lots of people are making money selling these things. It's not too competitive. It's quite a simple product. You figured out this is what you want to sell. How do you find the supplier for the product? Well, my name's Ollie, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a regular, then welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about how to find suppliers, right? So, really first thing we want to do is use Alibaba for suppliers. Now there are other places you can get suppliers from, DHgate, AliExpress, you could source locally. And there are other places you can source suppliers from. Alibaba, however, is great because it has the biggest directory of suppliers on the planet, right? You can get China suppliers, you can get suppliers from pretty much any country, mainly China, and they all will give you lots of products in bulk. So, I mean, if you type spice rack into Alibaba, only issue is you're going to be overwhelmed with choice as to the amount of suppliers that come up. In fact, when I type it in, as you can see, there's just loads of options here. I mean, there's pages and pages and pages of options. You know, like tons of pages. So which supplier is going to be the best for you? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So what I want you to understand is there's three key things we need to find in a great supplier. All right? Three key things. And they are product, right? We need them to have a great product. Promises, we want them to keep their promises. And finally, price. All right? We want the price of the product to work for us as a seller. Otherwise, you're not going to make any profit, right? So let's go through each one of these things and find a supplier that has those things. So go over to my little cheeky iPad whiteboard here. We can talk about the first P, which is product. So what does it mean that a supplier has a great product? Well, obviously quality is a big thing. We want the product to be really good quality. You know, we want it to look good, feel good, be great at its intended purpose, yes. There's something way more important than just the quality of a product, because you can have a good quality product. My mic's fallen down. You can have a good quality product that just doesn't even sell. So how do we get a good quality product that isn't just well made, but it's going to sell really well? Well, the main thing here really is adding value to the marketplace. So let's say we're entering into the spice rack marketplace, and usually what I'm talking about in this niche is the drawer organizer. All right, the spice rack organizer that goes inside a drawer, so you can put your chili powder, oregano, basil, blah blah blah, lined up like it is here in your kitchen drawer. So how do you decide what design of spice rack is going to be beneficial for the customers? Well, one thing you can do is type in the generic name of your product, right, into Amazon. Look for some of the best sellers. So this is one of the best sellers in the niche. And then see what's wrong with their product, right? Look at the reviews and see what's missing. See what the customers are annoyed about with their product, to get some ideas of how you can improve and offer a really good value product to the marketplace that's better than what's currently for sale. So for example, this person says 1-star review, very low quality. Like they've even done a video to show you just how bad quality the product is. It's flimsy, it's plasticky, it's not that great, right? Didn't expect it to be such bad quality. You can see the video is very thin, the plastic's very soft, right? So immediately we know that this customer cares about the quality of the product. They want it to be sturdy, not plasticky, not flimsy. And if this customer feels that way, it's very likely other customers are going to feel that way as well. Let's have a look. If you click see all custom images, actually not custom images, if you go to, let's have a look at more reviews actually, we can find what else is there. So these people like it. This person says good if you have drawer space. All right. This person says the plastic's fairly rigid. So some of these things are obviously a matter of opinion, right? And each customer has a different opinion, usually based on what they're expecting of the product. But a customer who wants a really sturdy spice rack will be more likely to buy yours if it's more sturdy than this one. Therefore, you'll get those type of customers and this seller won't. This person says, if you have the drawer space, it might be good for you. Sadly, the drawer I needed for isn't practical for me. So this person and this person are both saying it's too big. Okay, so we can write in our list of things to improve on is that maybe a smaller one would be good. This person says overpriced, very expensive for a bit of plastic, and flimsy. Not very practical. So you can go a lot deeper into these reviews, but from a quick look, I've already observed that probably needs to be more sturdy and probably needs to be smaller so it fits in the drawer. So you can do a really deep dive, figure out what's wrong with the current products that are selling very well and try and find a product that adds value to the market, i.e. does something better or different to the current products out there. So now when we're looking on Alibaba, this already eliminates a lot of the products on the market, right, that you could buy because a lot of them will be flimsy and too big, for example. So now you can filter through and just look at the ones that meet your criteria. Alrighty, so we've covered product. Next, promises. What does it mean that a supplier actually keeps their promises? Well, there's key things we need them to do. Right? Otherwise, it's impossible to work with them. Number one is communication. Don't know if you can read my writing. Speaking of communication, right? Hopefully you can understand what I'm saying instead of reading it. Communication. Do they message you back in time? Are they clear? Is their English good? Do they make sure they understand what your problem is if you have a problem, or understand what you want when you ask them something, and make sure they're giving you the right thing rather than thinking they understand what you need and then sending you the stuff and then ended up being wrong. These things really need to happen. The communication needs to be good. Another thing we need is things to be on time. We don't want a supplier who always has extra delays. Right? Some delays are inevitable, that's fine, but if they say 30 days lead time for them to make the product and it takes 60, well, that's not good enough. We want them to tell us how long it's going to take so we know. So if you're reordering stock, then we know when it's going to come. Another thing we want is quality. Similar thing to the product being good, but what this really means is, does the quality you receive match the quality you expected to receive, or that what was on the Alibaba listing, or what they told you the quality would be like? Right? Did they keep their promise in terms of the quality? Now, a lot of these things you're only going to realize once you've started working with them. Right? This is why I recommend you get a sample, which we'll talk about in a bit, or a test batch of small quantity of stock. You can tell a lot from a test batch or a sample about the promises kept by the supplier. Like, did they deliver it on time? Was the communication good? Was the quality good enough? Right, you're not going to know this from looking at Alibaba. There might be some reviews, but this is stuff you'll know and you'll learn as you start working with your chosen supplier. In fact, another thing with promises that helps you come to this conclusion is some of the filters you can use on Alibaba itself. There's two that I like to check. The first one is trade assurance. So what this means is if you pay through Alibaba for the product, you pay a small fee for the trade assurance. If anything goes wrong, let's say the quality of the product's not good or whatever, or it never arrives, you can get a refund. Right, so you're covered. So I would only work with suppliers who have the trade assurance. Another thing is verified suppliers. You can check that box as well. And if they're a verified supplier, this means Alibaba has been to their premises and they've seen the factory and they know that it's real, and it's not just some fake scam account. So if you have these two things checked as you're looking for a supplier, it's much higher chance you're going to find one that will keep their promises. So what about price? Well, obviously you're going to get prices from the supplier as you start chatting with them and asking them for, say, 500 units or whatever. But what price are we actually looking for? Because yes, you might be able to source a spice rack for $5 or $8. Does that mean you're actually going to make profit after your stock is sold? Or does it mean you're going to lose money? Well, we need to know before you spend any money on stock. So how do we figure this out? Well, there's two things we need to know. We need to know the price you're going to charge on Amazon for your product. And we also need to know your expenses, right? The amount you have to spend to make the sale, right? Now, if you do a test batch, and let's say you get 50 units or 100 units, you can actually figure this stuff out for real, right? By selling those 100 units and seeing all of the expenses and the price the customers will actually pay for the product. You might want to charge $19.99 for your spice rack. Whether you can actually charge that and whether customers will actually pay it, completely different story, right? So you have to fiddle around with the price and see what customers will pay. Amazon's very competitive and it's quite a price sensitive marketplace. So you need to know what your customers will actually pay. So if you can do a test batch, you can see exactly what all your expenses are to get each sale, and you can run those numbers for when you're placing a bigger order and do the maths. Now, you might not be doing a test batch, or you might just be placing an order, first of all, of a bigger amount of stock. And if that's the case, you're going to have to guess what your price is going to be that you're going to charge and your expenses. A little bit more risk involved here, but it is doable. So how do we do that? Well, the thing we can do for the price is we can guess based on similar products in the marketplace. So this spice rack is being sold for $17.99. So to charge more, you're going to have to give customers a reason to pay more for your spice rack. It has to be better quality, it has to add more value, it has to look better, or it just has to include some extra stuff along with the main product, bundling or whatever. If you're not offering anything better, you're not going to be able to charge more than $17.99. So you have to make an educated guess into what you can actually charge. So let's say we're going to charge $19.99 and we're going to come up with a spice rack that's just way better than everyone else's, and that justifies that price. Well, now we need to know if we can make profit after all of our expenses. So to guess this stuff, one thing you can do is, starting with the Amazon fees, if you type in FBA calculator into Google, FBA calculator UK, you can actually grab the ASIN of a similar product to yours, all right? And Amazon will give you an estimation of the fees you're going to pay to sell that product. So let's say you're going to charge $19.99 and you're going to use Amazon fulfillment, or in other words, FBA. Hit calculate. Okay. So we will get $14.29 after FBA fees. Okay. So in other words, it's going to be whatever it is, £5.70 worth of fees for every sale. So now we know roughly to take away about £5.70, £5.71 for the fees. But there's obviously other expenses we need to think about too. So marketing. I like to estimate long term, your advertising costs will be around 10%. So 10% of $19.99, roughly £2, right, for advertising. In the beginning, the ad cost is going to be much higher, but as your organic sales come in, it's going to reduce, right? So it will get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Then we want to know the cost of the products and the cost of shipping, right? So let's say we can source these for £7 each, and the shipping is going to be £3, right? Well, that's the cost of the goods and the cost of shipping. We also need to remember import fees. This is going to be 20% import VAT plus duty, which is probably going to be between 5 to 15%, depending on what category of product you're selling, right? Some products the duty's more, some it's less, right? So what you can do is quite a simple calculation. If you just take the cost of the shipping and the product, times it by 1.35, or in other words, add 35%, then you can get the rough cost of landed goods, or in other words, the cost of shipping plus the goods plus the duty and the tax, right? And that brings us to about £13.50 for the cost of landed goods. So you start with the cost or the price that you're going to charge the customer for the product. You take away the fees, £5.71. You take away the cost of marketing, £2 per unit. Eventually we'll get there. In the beginning it's going to be a lot higher, those ad costs, but it will get cheaper over time. Then you take away the cost of landed goods, £13.50. So in this instance, right, we would be making a loss of £1.22 per unit, right? So we know actually that we can't be sourcing the product for £7 plus £3 shipping, right? And it's good to know these things before you go out and spend £5,000 on stock, right? Because there's no way you're going to make money unless you can charge more for the product, which sometimes can be unlikely unless you've tested it with a test batch to prove that you can. So this is how you do it, right? This is how you figure out if your supplier has the 3 Ps: product, promises, the right price. And the key is to just keep messaging suppliers until everything falls into place. I do this with clients and they'll be showing me their quotes from suppliers, and I'll get them to do a spreadsheet with all the costs for the product, right? The projected profit they're going to make, and they'll have a few different designs, and then we'll pick something that has everything, looks like it's going to be the best chance for success, right? The price looks really good, the promises look good, like the supplier looks reliable, and the product adds the most value to the market. And if all these 3 things are looking good, then we can use that supplier, we can place the order, and you can feel confident you're going to make a return on your investment. There's one more thing that I want to mention that everybody forgets when it comes to finding a great supplier, and that is quantity. We don't just want to contact 3 suppliers. We don't just want to contact 10. You're making a big commitment here, right? To place an order of stock from someone you don't know and aiming to make profit on it. Therefore, contact a ton of suppliers, right? This is something I have to hammer home to all my clients. We need minimum 30 emails sent to suppliers to have a chance of getting quotes that will be usable. And we want at least 3 to 5 usable quotes, as in they meet all of this criteria, right? The profit's looking good, the value's looking good, the promises are looking good, right? And then we can pick the best one. We don't want to be in a situation where we only have one option. You may have just landed a quote from the most expensive supplier in the whole of China and not know it. We want to compare different quotes from different suppliers and see who's cheap, who's a bargain, etc., etc. One other thing you can do to make finding suppliers much easier, if I can spell Alibaba correctly, is you can actually do an RFQ. So this is really helpful. So if you go to Alibaba.com and then Buyer Central, click Submit RFQ, you can fill out a quick form, all right, with the details of what you're looking for. So for me, it would be, say, spice rack. You can choose the category. That'll do, etc., etc. Fill out all of these details. You can even add a couple pictures of similar products on Amazon if you want to give them an idea of what you're looking for. In the details, just tell them what it is you want to make better about the product. So for example, for us, it was sturdy plastic and maybe the dimensions, right? So for example, you could say, figure out the dimensions that those customers were looking for with the smaller drawers and enter that into the details. Then hit submit, and all the suppliers on Alibaba who have products that they can give you will get back to you. So you'll get a flood of emails into your inbox, and then you can go through and hand pick the best quotes and message them. And this helps you bump up the numbers of quotes that you get from suppliers. All right, so go out there, find yourself a supplier that has the 3 Ps, right? Product, price, and meets promises. And then things will be so much easier for you, right? If you build that great relationship with a supplier, you have a much higher chance for success. Thanks so much for watching. By the way, if you haven't done so already, check the description. There's some links in there that could really help you if you want to book in a call with my team to get your Amazon business started today and get some free coaching and some free help to build a plan to build your business that you can go away and implement. Then click the link in the description. You'll just have to fill out a very short application form, right? And once you filled that out, we'll be in touch. And we'll see if we're a fit. Maybe we can help you build a business together. There's also some other links in there for other resources that might help. All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch up very soon.